To begin with my work in progress video, I would like to discuss about remembering our roots, an ecological time portal in AR. In this immersive storytelling experience, you will meet 3 plant ancestors that have played a part in Alice Yuanzhang, the artist's family migrant journey. As changes impact our physical world, she uses augmented reality to immerse in a sense of ecological home and share it with others. This project is an invitation for sharing ancestral plant wisdom amidst the ongoing climate crisis. Sound designer of this project composed a localized audible presence that, when paired with some growth animations, really awakens the area around each plant. The story comes to life through an interactive player put together by layering PNGs and activating them with in-scene scale animation. Tap the name of each plant to learn its oral histories through Alice's mother voice in Mandarin Chinese and her voice in English. This work demonstrates how it's so necessary that we honor memories, not just to reminisce, but to actively renew our relationships with our food, locales, and in turn ourselves. The artwork creates an opening that extends into real relationships between people and plants and highlights the power of using AR for social and ecological healing. After Folio 1 submission, I was quite certain that I would go with animation direction instead of making interactive work. Part of it was because I have not had any experience with AR, as well as the confidence that the animation would work well in Unity. My animation in Cinema 4D included simulated objects like the rice, and it uses simulation like clone, cloth surface, symmetry, which are not actually mesh-based. I tried importing the leaf wrapping animation following tutorials about baked animation, but it didn't work because it is vertex point level complex. I didn't want to sacrifice the effect that I have achieved in Folio 1. That's why I was hesitant to try to make it work in Unity. I had a conversation with Kate about my animation direction, showing the 5 scenes that I plan to make for Folio 2. They depict the journey of Vietnamese sticky rice cake Banh Chung in 5 different stages, from making to eating and sharing, all about the togetherness of family members that is involved in the process. The challenge was to not include the presence of human while still communicating the together and the bond that the cake brings, so I knew that I had to achieve that through the use of other elements such as shadows, glow, light, as well as sound effects. The overall goal is to evoke emotions to the audience no matter where they come from. So through watching this piece of animation, not only Asian but people from other cultural backgrounds can still relate to their own traditions and cultures. Another advice that I received from my mentor is to bring more magical effect into the animation, making it less like a cooking tutorial animation. For example, sparkles and glow can be introduced, depicting the connection to the ancestors, or sound can be used in a playful way to amplify the moment of bonding. My next steps would be making storyboards as well as sound design to test if the animation is strong enough to hold this concept. After that, I had a consultation with Yun to discuss about the direction of making the animation. Maybe my inquiry could be how does staging, lighting, and effects can generate warmth in visual direction for animation. However, I was also encouraged to test out my animation files in Unity. I thought it was a good chance to test all the possibilities before committing to a fixed direction for Folio 2 in the next 5 weeks. Megafire is a plugin that Yun did mention in her workshop about animating in 3D using Cinema 4D, but I've never had a chance to play around since it costed $100. Since my leaf wrapping animation that I made in C4D is all complex vertex point level animation that couldn't be imported in FBX as baked animation from previous tests, I decided to give it a go and conducted a few tests to understand the nature of the plugin. These are the key lessons I learned from the results of the test. First, it has to be in the form of a mesh in order for the animation to work. So for example, rice grains that are clones, not actually meshes, or subdivision surface cannot work unless you make the object editable in C4D by hitting Command C. Also by doing that, I lost all the animations I've made before. I have to reanimate my assets once again for this compatibility. Second, if the animation is point level vertex, I have to bake the animation track first for separate elements in a clean file. For some reason, keeping it in the old file won't work, but if I bring only that particular element with baked animation to a new file and re-export it, it will work. Thirdly, the texture that I have spent time making in Cinema 4D can't be translated in Unity, meaning the two softwares do not share the same UV mapping method. This is quite frustrating because colorizing objects in C4D and watching the assets with the animation is quite satisfying. So my method is just to quickly color them in C4D, and I'm gonna spend more time with the material and the texture and the reflection that I want to achieve later when I put in Unity. After these outcomes and knowledge that I've gained from these tests, I decided to shift my project direction towards making interactive work. The inspiration comes from my experience being away for nearly 3 years of COVID. I've missed out 2 Lunar New Year's holiday time spending with my family. During this Lunar New Year time, even though there are still other forms of celebration, I couldn't find quite a similar experience that I've gotten to do every year since a child. It is the moment of sitting down together, making the sticky rice cakes on the floor, chatting and being complained by my family that I didn't help them enough in the process of making. I guess I have taken it for granted, and now I start to miss the experience. I was looking and researching a few AR projects before, and I know that by using AR, the user can be immersed in the environment and able to move around and explore the designed scene. Moments of being together can be communicated through space, and through the use of AR, I can share this environment design in a spatial way to generate a special atmosphere of gathering, to create a space of togetherness. My job then as an interaction augmented reality designer is to deliver a mood, a tone, an atmospheric environment, and deliver togetherness not only by the cultures of the dish, but also the space that situates the experience of the making. With 3D animation situated in a spatial viewing experience, instead of using 2D animation, the user can be placed more in the moment since the design is blended with their own environment, projecting a dreamy half-dream, half-real experience. Win has also inspired me to look at VR storytelling works, to be inspired and taken into consideration that a metaphor of closeness, for example, proximity, can be used as a core mechanic in an interactive work to communicate the idea of closeness and warmth. For example, when the user comes closer to the object within a certain proximity, it will trigger the animation. This has been found in an augmented reality experience called Sound Garden, which features a series of geometric totems which begin to animate and play music when you approach them. When objects are activated, they play their own unique tune. When multiples are selected, they play multiple tunes, which harmonize with one another. So in particular, the idea for the work I will use in AR is to create an immersive experience related to the process of making and cooking the cake. I found this illustration from a Vietnamese artist that depicts the scene so well and vividly, which is also the scene I want to be able to create in AR. In this scene, the ingredients and cookware are going to be laid out on the mat, and the user can go around and interact with each element in the scene, hearing sounds and looking at the objects being animated. After all the ingredients and elements have been explored, the user will be rewarded with fireworks in terms of particles appearing or falling in the environment, as well as hearing vivid sound that marks the beginning of a new year. At this stage, my project inquiry is still not finalized, but I'm thinking a few options such as how an AR environment in terms of atmospheric spatial 3D work could situate players in a place of warmth and togetherness, or how an environmental 3D animated storytelling work capture moments and create atmospheric feelings to communicate togetherness. My first initial design is this graphic design of the mat, which situates the whole AR scene and experience of the user being on the ground. I think this task is important to my process because I need to identify a certain visual direction for my project, starting with style and color choices. This mat has helped me pick my project's color palette, with colors symbolizing Vietnamese nature elements, such as green for leaves and crops, yellow for wealth and money, orange for the heat and the sun, pink for animals, blue for sky and water, and brown for ground and lands. The lipstick design has inspired me for the texture of the material being copper, rose gold, and reflective, combined with matte, bright orange coral. The style of my supporting environment assets would also follow the style of the graphic design of the mat, using simplified shapes with flat edges and corners to stylize assets. The next stage of my progress would include reanimating old assets in Folio 1 to bring it into Unity, model the remaining assets in the scene and animate them, bringing the fun and magical feel to the scene. I will also talk to my mentor Nick about using illusion of life to enhance the cultural assets that I'm gonna use in my AR experience for Studio One. Make my work more focused as to avoid what happened in the first half of the semester. I think throughout the course, the big lesson to me has been production time management and being realistic with the project scale, since I have found it so stressful to balance and divide production time for 3 different projects. This decision will take some stress off my shoulder since I can use 2 courses simultaneously to support each other, heading towards one final outcome. Hence, I can focus my energy on enhancing and iterating, producing better quality work.